Well, thank you. And joining us now on This Is the Day, we have a very special guest, Sister Helen Prejean, who many of you might know from Dead Man Walking, the book that she wrote, and it was turned into a major motion picture. And we are especially grateful to have her here. And I remember just a mere 13 years ago interviewing you when the movie came out.
He was a mere child, and I helped him start on his career because he interviewed me.
But you have been involved in so many different things since that time, and maybe if we could start by talking about your second book with The Death of Innocence, and this is another sort of continuing thing, but these two people that you talked to in this book were innocent.
Yeah. The death penalty is so broken because it's in human hands with all of our frailties in it, our biases and prejudices and all. So innocent people, 132 wrongfully convicted people have come off of death row, say by college volunteers. And the two people in this book, in The Death of Innocence, Dobie Williams, an African-American in Louisiana, was railroaded in this trial. I was his spiritual advisor for 7 years. And so his is the first story. And the second story is Joseph Odell in Virginia, who was just trying to get a court to let him have DNA testing to look at the evidence because it wasn't done at trial. And he could never get a hearing in a court. And they kill people by procedures. Oh, you didn't file this on time or whatever. But Italy got involved in Joseph Odell. He's the second story here. The Italian Parliament passed a resolution for Joseph Odell. The night he was killed by Virginia, 5 million people are listening to their radios about Joseph Odell. And Pope John Paul got involved with Joseph Odell. And it was through Joseph Odell I got to have a dialogue with Pope John Paul about the death penalty. Because the Pope had been in the United States 4 times, never mentioned the death penalty. And we had pro-life, but then there was a death penalty. And people say, well, there are exceptions and all that, those that do this murders. So in my dialogue with him, I said, you got to close the loophole in the teachings. You know, you pushed it to the edge in the Evangelium Vitae. But does the Catholic Church only stand for the dignity of innocent life? Well, when I'm walking with a man to execution, and he's got leg irons on, he's handcuffed to a belt, he's surrounded by guards, and they're taking him across the room to kill him, he said, Sister, please pray God holds up my legs. And I said, Your Holiness, there is no dignity in this death. Can we be pro-life, not only for innocent, but for the guilty? And what the Pope did was he changed the catechism and he removed the criteria we'd used for 1,600 years. The state could execute for grave or grievous crimes. But as he showed in his own encyclical, because we have prisons, we have a way to defend ourselves without using violence. And then by removing that criteria for grave or grievous crimes, the teaching is no matter how grave or grievous the crime, we have a way to defend ourselves without killing. We don't execute anybody. And the test case was Saddam Hussein. The catechism was changed in 1997. The Pope declared the death penalty with the other pro-life issues in St. Louis in 1999, no to abortion, no to euthanasia, and no to the death penalty. People had never heard that before. And no to the death penalty, which is cruel and unnecessary, and even those among us who have done terrible crimes have a dignity that must not be taken from them. So that happened in 1999. So then when Saddam Hussein was hung, when was that, around 05, 06? I knew that was going to be the test case. Because if anybody's going to say, oh yeah, but except for Saddam Hussein, and sure enough, came through from the Vatican loud and clear, it is against the dignity of life to render a person defenseless and kill them. So even for Saddam Hussein. So we have a teaching now that does not include exceptions to the death penalty. Even though in the discourse that you hear, yeah, but in the encyclical the Pope said, but you got to take the encyclical, but then you also got to take the change in the catechism.
And you have to get people to realize this, you know, wake up Catholics, as you were saying, we were talking before the show, and you're involved in a mobilizing group that's trying to do this.
Yeah, it's Catholics Mobilizing Network, and we work with the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops that declared a campaign to end the use of the death penalty. They did this in 2005. And already you can see the shift happening in Catholics. I mean, I consider us the catalyst or moral wedge for the whole country. There's 66 million Catholics in this country. 1 in every 5 people identifies themselves as Catholic. So if we get it on this, we're going to be the ones that change it. That's what happened in New Jersey. Catholics were front and center in changing the death penalty. I was just with the Knights of Columbus from New Jersey, and it was beautiful, Kevin, because the head knight at the banquet, you know, they like a big bunch of Cub Scouts. I love them. My daddy was a Knight of Columbus. They got their little plumes and their little swords, but boy, they're on it now with the death penalty.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
here he is at the banquet, and he holds up a picture of a baby and says to the knights, he says, now you see this? Of course we are for protecting and the dignity of life of children and unborn children. But he said, picture in my other hand the picture of a murderer. Now this is a bigger challenge for us to follow the gospel of Jesus, because this baby's innocent. This guy's not. And can we be pro-life across? I was so proud of the Knights.
That's great. And you, I understand too, are you working on another book that eventually will come?
The Random House, which is my publisher, which has done Dead Man Walking and The Death of Innocence, sees this as the prequel to Dead Man Walking, because it's the spiritual journey that took me to death row. Okay. And so, you know, it's a precious thing, Kevin. You get to look at your life to see faith unfurling. It's called River of Fire, My Spiritual Journey to Death Row. So that's what I'm going to be doing this summer. I talk from September to May. I'm on the road like St. Paul. I think about St. Paul a lot, okay? He didn't have a little roller bag, but he traveled a lot too. And then from June through August, it's contemplative time and writing time. And writing is just like praying, because you have to pray to the Holy Spirit to inspire, and you have to wait for the words and ask to be able to give true, honest words. And writing a book is an act of love, because you just say to people, here, I'm going to lay my soul, I'm going to lay my journey out to you, and I hope it'll be helpful to you in quickening your own life in the Spirit.
Well, we thank you so much for coming in, and
well, thank you.
we hope to have you back, maybe another 13 years. Well, before that. Well, thanks so much.
When the next book comes out, it'll be great.
That's
we'll
right.
make sure
That's
we
right.
make it happen.
All right. Thank you so much, sister.
Thank you,
Good to
Kevin.
see you again.
Yeah, great to be here.
And let's go back to the rest of This Is the Day.